Hey folks, new product release demo here. We're going to be looking at MariaDB today. Just as a restatement of the problem that Immuta really set out to solve is around data provisioning, right? So how do we, as more data consumers, everyone becomes a data consumer in organizations, how do we enable quicker time to data? Really, there's sort of a circuitous path when we think of what does a workflow start? Where does a workflow start, right? To ultimately getting access to data. Most organizations solve this with some amount of ticketing systems, but with Immuta, you're really able to overcome and augment a lot of the challenges that you might have with just plain ticketing systems when we think about automated provisioning and exception handling. So there's really a number of different points Immuta could integrate with when we think about data provisioning. Traditionally, Immuta has integrated with data platforms. Immuta could integrate with technical catalogs, business catalogs, or data products at sort of the marketplace level. In today's demonstration, we're going to be looking at how Immuta integrates with MariaDB at the platform level. So let's take a look at that. If I go into the Immuta console over here in my left-hand browser window, I'm going to be playing sort of my super user over here, my data reviewer, my data approver. And then in my right-hand browser, we're going to meet my data consumer, my data requester later. But if we go into the connections part of Immuta, we're able to quickly see all the different connections here I've already added. And to add a new MariaDB connection, and go through, run through the wizard here real quick, just so you folks are able to see what it looks like. Give us some connection information here, some authentication information. But I'm going to go back to the previous MariaDB connection I'd already set up here, so we don't have to kind of watch while I go through the wizard. In any case, you'll notice here I get a quick overview of how I've made the connection, where in AWS RDS it is, settings around do I want to be watching for schema changes, object changes, as well as the permissions, right? So if I want to federate out to my data operations group or other users, data owners, I can do that. Let's look at the data objects here in MariaDB. And if we go into my database here, right, we're going to be looking at this customer table today, some mock data I had loaded earlier. You'll notice Immuta, like any other new connection, is going to pick up on the, in this case, database name, as well as I have a tag at the table level assigning the particular domain here. So let's go and now look at our domain. So here I have the customer domain. Based upon a particular tag, data sources are automatically getting assigned. In this case, you'll notice I've got a number of tables coming in. Here's that MariaDB table from earlier, as well as I've also set up my permissions to allow different users and groups to be able to essentially publish data products with all or subsets of these tables. So let's go ahead and do that now. So if I go into the Immuta marketplace, we're able to, and I'm the data owner and the data approver of this particular customer analytics data product, I can add the new MariaDB data source. Let's go ahead and do that here. So because it's part of the custom domain, I have the option here to go ahead and add that. We save that off. And so now if I go to my right-hand browser window and I'm working in MariaDB, I need access to perhaps some tables in addition to other tables and other platforms across my different data estate here. I'm able to do that very easily, right? So I can go ahead and request access for just 2 hours. I'm just going to remove the access at the end of that. I submit this request. At this point, it could kick off workflows in ServiceNow, Jira, other ticketing systems. If you want to do the approval there, if you want to do the approval in Immuta, you'll get notifications, Teams, email, Slack, however you want to configure it. In any case, if I go to my left-hand browser window now, and we go into the access requests, I'm going to do this in the Immuta UI so you can see some of the AI functionality. But you'll notice here as the data approver, data reviewer, I've already configured my review workflow. In this case, I need one person in any of these groups. Maybe you have one person required in each group. There's all kinds of different ways you could set this up. But if we continue to the determination, Immuta picks up that I've been doing this demo a number of times. There's a pattern to this, and I've been making this approval. So it suggests that I should probably just go ahead and approve this, automate this at some point in time through policy, through other means. But I'm gonna go ahead and approve this for 2 hours just so we can kind of see the flow here. All right, and so once I've submitted that determination, if I go back to my right-hand browser window as my data requester, my data consumer, we'll notice here I've been temporarily approved. And when I go in and query MariaDB, right, I'm able to get access to the table. So pretty quick with Immuta. What we just saw was to be able to connect MariaDB, onboard some tables, add them to a data product, and then provision access all in a few minutes here. So thanks so much for watching today.